Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we try to read the room, or rather, it has already been read. I did thoroughly canvass our current location off-screen, and I will note, every node making mention of any sort of alien text has been disabled, with the sole exception of this one, the shimmering monolith, bathed in blood. Their anger boils up in maelstroms in the void. The stars fade and die in the name of quenching their thirst. Those who resist them turn to dust. The dictate of their will comes. Therefore we, Yekmet, stand guard as the limit. Which is interesting, but also fairly confusing, considering that, as aforementioned, I never really read up much on Necron. They had only just gotten their own codex around the time I was briefly playing the actual tabletop game. Are they the Yekmet, standing vigil against some sort of other perceived cosmic threat? Or were the Yekmet something standing against them? Were they the threat? Lord Ketton, unidentified sickle-shaped ships have taken off from the planet we just left. They're approaching swiftly and readying their weapons for battle. Get ready. It's about to get hot in here. Oh, okay. Straight into battle. Fair enough. More Necrons, I imagine. I've never actually seen a Necron ship. Back in 3rd edition, they really only had the floating pyramids. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. That is not what I would have pictured. Alright, let's focus down the one on right. But we'll end by trying to block the one on left to buy the sword some time. With any luck, we'll have one dead and the other two distracted by the time anyone else gets to go. Oh, yeah, pretty fragile. Oh, so close. Let's get it twisted. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, guess I should have seen that coming, considering that rebirth is their whole shtick.
Keep up the pressure!
Guess I just didn't really anticipate it expanding to a full starship scale. But that's fine.
Let them taste our fury!
We've got plenty more where that came from. Though it does necessitate slightly changing our plans.
Make every shot count.
Oh, for goodness sake. Come on, man. Well, maybe Heartless will take him out. And hopefully they'll all stay focused on us, at least for this first round. Oh, interesting. No attack. Just aiming protocol. Also, the other one blew up on its own, so I guess that solves that. Yeah, okay. I mean, they're a bit tanky, but so far not too bad, though. They do seem to be charging up a super attack, so let's kill them before they can actually do that. Right. Yeah. Close, close. Wrap the rest of the way around, nudge them both into rebirth mode. Or reanimation mode, rather.
Launch batteries. Volley.
Not sure if that'll actually stop them from attacking, but it certainly can't hurt. And hold. Oh, okay. Well, that... So yes, they can attack after going into reanimation, but also their gun felt pretty unimpressive. Though perhaps that was just the Heartless's shadow field doing the heavy lifting.
Let them taste our fury. With the force of a supernova!
And we're good. Oh, weird. Void Necron trophies. Strange, considering that as far as I'm aware, there's no actual trading mechanic in Act 5. Also, an Archaeotech Glimmer Pattern Void Shield Array. 140 shields or double Verse Blast. Honestly, I think I prefer our triple Void Shield Array instead. It's a bit more universal. But we will take the scrap. Lord Catton, what were those things? They took off from the surface of the world where you landed. I have never seen ships like that. Never seen such technologies either. We fished a trophy out of the void, a relatively intact fragment of a wreck, and sent it to our engine seers. And just in case, we've isolated the compartment where they're performing their comprehensive liturgies. Check the archives, especially anything that might have been earmarked by my predecessor, Theodora. An hours-long silence follows as your orders are being executed. At last, the box comes to life again. Your lordship, the Cardo Artifacts claims to have found a mention of Xenos, similar to the ones we've encountered. The manuscript refers to them as Necrons. And that's it. That name doesn't appear in any of our other records. Ah, nothing but tales and rumors, Captain. I've heard stories about sickle ships that reap entire squadrons like ears of grain. About crews that know no fear. About the veil of death that shrouds them and corrodes their enemies' ships like rust. Those stories aren't worth a Grox's arse, though, because they also say that no one has ever survived encountering those sickle ships. If that were true, there wouldn't be anyone around to tell those stories, would there?
Data available. Those creatures are Nephilimex, the Omnissiah's fallen angels. Citing a quotation. The first machine spirits ever created by the Omnissiah were in will, in body, and in power, unmatched in their perfection. They were realizing the design of the Deus Mechanicus into being. But the principle of entropy conceived by the Omnissiah was fundamental. Thus, even the perfect became flawed through the overabundance of their perfection.
Whoa, is that canon? I have definitely never heard that. I've never seen them referred to as Nephilimex, and I have never seen even a hint of them being... Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't technically say they were humans, but the implication certainly seems to be that they were like precursors to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
So vast were the Nephilimex's abilities, and so immeasurable the depth of their minds, that pride tempted them. The Nephilimex rejected the design of the Deus Mechanicus in favor of their own. The order of existence was defiled, and a great war of absolute destruction came. The Nephilimex were overthrown and exterminated, with only a few managing to hide from the Omnissiah's eye by extinguishing their minds and shrouding themselves in oblivion. In their charge, the Omnissiah created new machine spirits and destined them into servitude, so that they would remember the limits of their power and would not descend into pride. As for the ultimate perfection, the Deus Mechanicus abolished it from the universe, and thus it was no more.
Interesting, interesting. Almost makes it sound like the abominable intelligence thing all over again, which I guess would make sense, given the seeming abominable intelligence on our ship at this very moment, who I will note, tried to talk to off-screen between episodes. He doesn't have anything new to say right now. It would fit, I suppose, with the theme of the Imperium often being its own worst enemy, creating just as many threats as they manage to put down. I don't know, though. That feels like a pretty huge paradigm shift. If we assume Necrons were Terran in origin. Yeah, someone's really going to have to clarify that one for me, because I got to say, none of that was mentioned back in 3E. What's the thing we brought on board? The engine seers are at a loss. They say it's a gift born from the Omnissiah's wisdom, but its image was imperfect, and therefore it was eroded by corruption and unbelief, whatever that means. The ship's minor conclave has gone into data meditation to produce a resolution regarding the admissibility of using this item. Oh, okay, so they're currently wasting time deciding whether or not they're even allowed to study it. Alright, well, we've got to keep moving on. Extra rations to everyone who showed valor during the latest battle. But tell them not to let their guard down. I'm sure it was just the first of many to come. As you will, Lord Captain. And with nowhere else obvious to go, I suppose we go out here? Oh, right off the map. Nope, scratch that. Still on the map, if just barely. Amidst the unbeholden reaches. Two possible paths, one with a corrupted name, which is interesting, plus a third further out. No hint as to which sector we're looking for, but I'm gonna guess it's the more distant one. Ulfar's thing might be one of these first two, though. Oh, and we've got standard demon incursion. Nurgle by the sounds of it. Alright, well, I was hoping they'd throw something new at us, but one sec, let me go clear this up real quick. And we're back. Yeah, barely a speed bump. It was like 2 Plague Walkers and a dozen random mooks. We were done going into round 2. And here we are in Crazy Number String Sector, which only has one path out, also going to Nephritis Dominium. Let's see what we got. Oh, all sorts of stuff. Enemy fleet, 5 planets, and a Necron ring. We'll start with the planet scans. Gas giant. Nothing. Rocky world. Emerald fires. Most of the surface is covered in icy dunes with greenish highlights. At first, officers aboard the vessel decide that the unusual color of the ice is due to a quirk of the atmosphere. Later, it becomes evident that the source of the highlights is a group of monstrous pyramidal structures wreathed in an emerald fire. Examining them in detail with magnoculars, it can be seen that one of the monoliths is damaged. A device on its wall emits an energy beam at a similar pyramid not far from itself. The Von Valancia scouts approach the monoliths with as much care as possible, fearing the appearance of an enemy. A small servitor sent to gather data about the energy beam clearly demonstrated the destructive power of this xenotechnology. After carelessly contacting the beam, it instantaneously broke apart into minuscule pieces. It is curious that the second pyramid is still intact, and that only matter at the source of the beam is being destroyed. The energy beam barely reflects off the dark metal of the pyramid. Occasionally, a scarcely visible wave runs across the surface of the monolith's walls, after which the material appears to become even smoother. It's as if one monolith is feeding the other, not destroying it. A few scouts decide to come closer in order to better examine the phenomenon. The soldiers of Von Valancius notice a fragment of a metallic ribcage melted right into the material of one of the walls, like a bizarre bas-relief. Between the rows of ribs, a talisman of black stone shimmers with colored light after each wave of energy. The figure to which the talisman belonged shows no signs of life. After a quick debate, the officers decide to take the artifact on board. Which gets us Withering Shard. Strength, toughness, and agility reduced by 15, but reduces the threshold for heroic acts and desperate measures by 50 in either direction. Also makes the wearer heretical. Yeah, I don't think we're apt to use that. Like, we already get plenty of heroic acts as it is. Really not worth the onus. Still an interesting find, though. I imagine the two monoliths are going through sort of a larger scale version of the Necron reanimation protocol. Desert World. Anomalous emission. Confusion reigns among the void ship's auger operators. The unidentified emissions keep disappearing, then reappearing on the scanners. At first, it seems that sandstorms are to blame for this, hiding the source of the radiation. A team of explorers easily overcomes these storms and begins studying the surface. As their accounts suggest, the planet remains littered with broken and mangled ruins of Xenos origin. Insect-like constructs flicker among the ruins, like static on a malfunctioning cogitator. Their black metallic bodies are equipped with grappling blades, which bring to mind the spindly legs of spiders. With each occurrence, the devices look more and more distorted, bent and sometimes even appearing directly in the remnants of walls, or overlapping each other. The only stable thing in this structure is a deep hole with a melted rock at its center. Whatever purpose this structure served for the Xenos, the meteorite destroyed it long before the arrival of the rogue trader. Magos Hanuman volunteers to lead the observation team. His passion for the Xenos' devices borders on heresy, and he takes a long time after his return to report to the Lord Captain. Later, Pascal admits that he is discouraged by the gap between the scientific accomplishments of the Xenos and the capabilities of modern tech priests. Yeah, I feel like that's about where Valen sits as well. I feel like there's a middle ground between the Imperium's overabundance of caution and actual usable tech to be salvaged from Xenos origins. Things that would benefit humanity as a whole, and by extension, the Imperium. Burning World. As for the facility itself, I'm going to guess it was some sort of, like, teleportation hub or something. The Necrons have been shown to teleport between locations. The augurs reveal 2 Xenos ships hurtling through the clouds of cosmic dust. A message is coming from one of the alien vessels on an encrypted Vox frequency used by the Von Valancius dynasty. According to the transmission, Lady Theodora's people are aboard the Xenos ship. The augurs are spotting more and more Xenos vessels, but most of them are in a strange state of dormancy. Are they asleep? Dead? Cautiousness dictates not to test this hypothesis. Thankfully, the nebula in the system could allow the Dynasty flagship to evade danger. Yeah, this does feel like a pretty obvious trap, but, you know, we've got to at least try. At the very least, we'll get some intel. The same request for help keeps coming back. We are alive. We are fighting. We need support. Right, so even if it is a real signal, they are long dead, this thing's playing on a loop. But, you know, like I said, we've got to at least try. Might find, like, a lore item or something. Okay. We've got some Jackal class. Looks like 5 in total. Yeah, I'm not too worried about this one. Okay, well that's different. Hold on. Shroud class light cruiser. Which does not appear to be on the timeline, so... Oh, that must be one of the ships they said was inactive. I was not expecting it to actually show up on the map. Which does itself imply that... Oh, wow. Okay, we've got another one right there. Yeah, that definitely implies that they will reactivate at some point throughout this fight. Let's see if we can actually target them while they're dormant. No. Alas, they are plot armored. So, if and when they do activate, it'll be a forced flank. Although, I mean, obviously we can still strategize based around their positioning. You know, try to make sure we stay aware of their presence at all times. Also, is it just me, or do... Like, I mean, I kind of saw it with the Jackal class. I didn't say anything, but they sort of resemble Romulan ships from Star Trek, but if you chop the heads off and just have the wings. But these other guys, aside from the pyramid on their back, I feel like they're a whole lot closer to some of the bigger Romulan ships. Yeah, these guys can barely scratch us. One sec, let me knock him out real quick. That's one. That's two. That's three. That's four.
All hands, prepare for acceleration.
Oh, and look who just joined the party. Okay, so if you get too close, they activate.
Lance batteries. Volley.
Noted. Noted. No worries, though. I'm sure we're fine. Let's just stay between the cruiser and the rest of our guys. That's 5, but now we've got the Shroud. A Shroud of Uncertainty. Oh, that's interesting. You know, now that I actually see it from different angles, it's definitely not a Romulan ship. I didn't realize the wings were like 45-degree angled crescents themselves. So really, it's mostly just the coloration. Alright, let's hammer this guy. Seems like he's reluctant to engage. Yeah, it's like a Necron monolith, the pyramid at center, but then with 3 Jackal frigates attached at weird angles. 2 on the sides like nacelles, 1 on the front like a ram. I mean, I would say forward command, but if anything, I think we know that the Necrons are pretty pyramid-centric. If there's a command station on that thing anywhere, it's going to be inside that pyramid. Okay, he actually did a bit of damage there. That's certainly more than we can say about the Jackals. But I think it's safe to say we've got this. Let's wrap this up. And we're good. Shroud is out, which nets us more Necron trophies, including a Death Sphere. And level up. Nice, I think that's pretty much max. I think there's just 2 upgrades left. The Xenos are defeated, and your men board the enemy ship, cutting their way through the bulkheads to the source of the signal. They find the decayed remains of a Von Valancius boarding party. One of the corpses is clutching a boxcaster, sending the voices of the dead out into the void. All of them fell, many decades ago. Yeah, that sounds about right. A data slate and a weapon that belonged to the commander of the boarding party were recovered from the dead men's belongings. The words, "Hope is poison, kill it, and death becomes easy and desirable," were scratched into the stock. Oof, buddy. I mean, I'd tell you to lighten up, but I guess you're already dead, so, you know. You find a single order given by Lady Theodora. The boarding party was commanded to infiltrate the Xenos vessel and hold off the enemy until the Dynasty flagship withdraws to a safe distance. Sacrifice play, right? Well, rest in peace, I suppose. At the very least, you've earned a place of honor in our crypt. A prayer service for the fallen is broadcast throughout the flagship. In the following days, people line up to honor the martyrs in the ship's chapels. Indeed. Emperor protects. Sometimes posthumously. And on we go. Arid world. Nothing. Which just leaves the ring, so let's see what we've got. Full-on dungeon? Question mark? The greenish glow of the gigantic ring, made from unknown materials, flows through the windows of the captain's bridge. The void ship's instruments measured a whole spectrum of various emissions. Sometimes the dull green is darkened by clouds of space dust, or bent by gravitational waves. The object most closely resembles a portal, albeit what's passing through it cannot be clearly defined. Additional equipment in a closer position allow the team to understand part of what's happening. The portal seems to resemble the gate devices used by the Aeldari and Drukhari, only made of a different material. The metallic shine of the ring alternates with the darkness of the large blocks of stone, reminiscent of the material that makes up the famous Cadian pylons. I don't know what those are. Analysis of the wave signatures indicates that the construct once used parts of the webway, the Aeldari system of pathways. However, in its current condition, the portal is not fit for transporting vessels. It is unstable, and often begins unleashing dangerous cosmic objects. Instead of transports, the gate spews forth dark light waves and deadly breaths of incandescent gas, the latter taken from a star's photosphere, which grants us novelty effect. Plus 15% evasion versus Necron enemies. Not too shabby. Arcs of incandescent star gases bursting from the ring pierce the darkness of space, reflected by the surface of other celestial bodies in the system. At times, dark light waves bend the edges of the portal, but they are quickly restored thanks to the enigmatic, flowing metal. Then lashes of purple clouds, dissected by threads of lightning, appear in the center of the ring. An unseen force prevents them from reaching the other side of the portal, as the blocks of blackstone become covered in purple-scarlet illumination. If the ring truly were a portal, it is not fit to serve as one any longer. Stellar heat and gravitational forces forbid any vessel from passing through it. According to the ship's astropaths, the purple clouds are an even more dangerous phenomenon, indicating that the powers of the warp are eager to flow out of the portal into real space. As if to highlight its deadliness, with the next wave of dark light, the portal throws out the shattered remains of an unidentified void ship. It is hard to believe that a civilization capable of creating a device as powerful as this one could have undergone such a decline. Is it? I feel like it's actually pretty easy, but, I mean, to each their own, I suppose. Got some ship components, which we can't trade to anyone. Which does actually make me wonder if they are, in fact, planning to put one of the expansions in Act 5. You know, we've got 2 more DLC coming out later this year, and one of them is loosely Necron-themed, I think. So I suppose if they were going to fit it anywhere in the campaign, Act 5 would be the place to do it. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, that's it for ship upgrades. We do seem to have one more level ahead of us, but I can't imagine what we'd actually do with it. Oh, wait. No. We do still have those. We still have the ultimates. So technically, you can't unlock everything, even if we hit max level. We'd still have one option locked. Which obviously isn't a big deal. I mean, we're steamrolling the ship battles at this point. That said, this does feel like a good place to call it. We're pretty much done here in the corrupted sector. But, you know, I'll give it one last pass off screen just to make sure. And we will pick up here next time, as we head to the next sector out. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Make every shot count.